welcome back to the HaloCybertruck.com website and our article, blog, and video series. Hey, before I continue, please take a moment to click the subscribe button, both on YouTube if you're watching the video there, or particularly on the HaloCybertruck.com website. If you'd please subscribe to our article blog, really helps us in creating more content and videos like this one. So as you can see, we've got something new in from one of our sponsors, Hansshow. They've sent this week. I'm going to take, and I've already kind of pulled some of the packing material off of this. Looks like it's, let's see, it's got a label on it that I can't read, but that's okay. Oftentimes, that's what we get. Looks like this opens from this end. I will pull this up, flip it around. Oh, I see what we have here. Look at all those zip ties. We've got various different electronic components, a number of different decals, some little tools and plugs and items in there. And then here we have a whole line of what looks like LED and waterproof LED strips. Okay, well, we certainly wouldn't want to put something on the truck that's not waterproof. Now, of course, one of the things I don't see is a set of directions, but I'll check the Hansshow website and see what I can figure out. Just so you know, this is an LED lighting kit that goes underneath the Cybertruck. Now, typically, I'm not one of those people that drives around with lights shining out from their wheel wells or underneath their truck, etc. But I thought sometimes when putting the truck on display at car shows or events like Planet Comic-Con, it might be nice to have a green glow coming from underneath the Halo Cybertruck, something like that. Or, you know, I don't have to see what all this thing is capable of doing. I'm sure it probably plays a variety of different light patterns and themes. But give me a little time to pull together some directions and then pull apart the different various items that are in this kit, and we'll take a look at that and doing the installation underneath this Halo Cybertruck next. So stay tuned. Okay, welcome back to the HaloCybertruck.com website. I'm Tesla Ken, and today we're going to look at installing an underbody lighting kit, an LED lighting kit where you have LED strips that go underneath the body of the Cybertruck. Now, first thing you might have noticed is I've put the truck in off-road extract mode to get it up as high as I can. And then looking at the kit, the wiring, the power for the kit comes from inside the frunk. There is that 48 volt wires loom set that we're going to tap into. So I've got to remove this frunk inner liner to get a look at that. Additionally, there are two LED strips that basically run down one side of the truck and run down the other side of the truck, and they both feed into a common connector that then plugs into the power. And I'll show you that when I show you the kit. But the issue or concern is, how do we get those lines into the frunk? Because you obviously don't want to feed, somewhere here in front of your front vents. And then if we go underneath the truck, we see there's not really any necessarily good spot to do that. Here's a couple bolts we could remove possibly and look and see if whether or not in this area we could feed something up into this frunk. So the first thing I want to do is get this liner off so I can look for some access points. I know there are access points on the side. The issue is, while that might work fine for one of the two connectors, I don't think the other one is long enough to come in on the other side. So first thing, just in the investigation, is let's get this liner out. Now, how does the liner come out? For those who don't know, you can watch some of our other videos. For example, in installing this frunk light here, we took the liner out. But basically, you're going to take these plastic bumpers out on either side. Then you're going to remove your cap for filling your windshield washer fluid. Then we have the points here at the bottom where you got to take the little rails out, and there are a couple of bolts underneath here and here. We'll take those out. Then there are up here, there's one here, and there's also one, where is it? Right here. So you can see I've taken all of those out. The only other thing technically holding this in right now is there is a wire loom here with a connector on it that goes to this front switch. Otherwise, I can pull this entire inner liner out. So I'm going to do that next so we can kind of start an investigation of where to tap in and where we might be able to run those lines. Okay, so now that we have the inner liner here off and out of the frunk, one of the things I was looking at here was where that 48 volt wire is, and it's attached here with some blue tape. Here's the end of it. We would have to unwrap that end to tap into it, which we'll get to later. But so that makes me think I'd like to bring the wires in here somewhere that go out to the LEDs, and it's certainly possible. You can see through down there that it would come out on the opposite side of this. Looks like it would come out, looking through the wheel well, come out down inside of here. And then we could technically bring that, obviously we don't want to bring it close to the spinning axle, but we could bring it out and around down here to then come underneath the truck and put the LED lines. So the question really is the one going over on the driver's side, if we're going to kind of tap in here on the passenger side, if that's long enough. So I'm going to go get that wire out of the kit and we'll take a look at that. All right, so let's talk about what's in the kit for a moment here and some of the things I have strung out. First off, these are the wires that are going to tap into the 48 volt power supply in the front. This is our little inverter here that gets us down to the 12 volt supply, or whatever it is that these LEDs need. There is a QR code on the back that you can scan to get the software for your phone that will control the LEDs. I'm assuming there's also probably some sort of Bluetooth transmitter in here that your phone would have to connect to. And then there are these two lines. Basically think of it as, you know, left side of the car, right side of the car. I don't think it matters which is which out of these two, that will attach to this connector, which as you can see has some amount of line until it gets to the first one. So I'm not sure what the little green labels mean. But one of these runs down one side of the car. Oh, I think it's just saying that that's the second and the third set. So it runs down. So first off, this would come out of the frunk, and this would be the first half of what goes underneath the truck. And the other line, of course, would duplicate that, and you would have the other half. So ideally, you'd want to kind of bring them out the middle and split them either way. Now the question is, could you start this one and get it over far enough to be where it needs to be, but yet still be in the frunk, and run this down the driver's side of the car? I think you can, given the amount of line that there is until it gets to the fitting. And then, of course, like I said, the fitting we would want to put somewhere over by that 48 volt line. So I'm gonna take a look at this. I'm gonna look at feeding it up in through up into the frunk like we talked about here, and positioning it. There is, just FYI, the kind of 3M double stick tape. Obviously, you'd want to clean off the bottom of the car. And then it does come with a whole bunch of zip ties, which that was kind of the second thing looking at this kit versus looking at an install on, say, a Model Y. There seems to be a lot less places, oddly enough, underneath the Cybertruck, particularly in the front and the rear, that you could zip tie to something. So I'm going to climb underneath, take a look, feed the line up, and then come back. Okay, so we're back and going to work on feeding one of these lines through. Now, so first thing here is I actually disconnected this just front portion of the LED strip from the whole rest of the long strip. Why? Because I'm like, oh, well, I'll just feed it through in the direction that I need to for attaching it, and then that's just easier than poking it up from the bottom. It just allows me to feed down from the top. So basically, you know, I can come down this way, feed it through, and then we've got it set up for down below. Okay, now we are underneath the truck, all right, as we see here, and that line has been fed down. And so now what needs to happen with this line is, because it's the one for all the way over here on the driver's side, remember we're coming in on the passenger side, is that I need to look at placing this strip, what would that look like for it to continue on? Oops, okay. Oh my gosh, I just pulled that all the way through. Okay, let's stop this video. Okay, here we are underneath the truck. You can see the line coming down from up above. I have it coming down right about where the plastic meets the metal, because I figured I could kind of run the line along there if needed for any zip tying. But basically, this LED strip that they have is fairly long. So the question is, like, if I'm looking at the center right here and I started the LED strip at the center and then I wanted it to reach across, so we'll just do this. I'm gonna come across here. Well, look how much longer this strip is than when I've already reached the edge of the plastic. So the only way to make that technically work would be to move this up so that we're starting higher up on the plastic. Can you see that? So there's where it meets the metal. There it angles out towards the little lip spoiler. So I could bring it across that way, and I could stick it here. Still a little bit long. I guess I could slightly overlap those pieces. You know, but in which case then I'd be sticking to the plastic, not to the metal. And there's really no way, you don't want to right angle the LED strip. That's not going to look good. So, I mean, it would be technically fine to stick it to this plastic, assuming you clean the plastic good, but you then really have absolutely nowhere that you're zip tying it. You know, and you don't want to move it too far forward, or you're just going to see this thing when you're standing outside the truck, and I don't think you want that either. So I think what I'm going to do is try to figure out where exactly I'm going to put that end over here, and then obviously I'm going to have to attach it to a piece that goes down and runs down the driver's side of the truck. So let me stop shooting video for a moment, kind of figure out the positioning for this particular strip, and then I'll come back. All right, so I'm back underneath the truck, and this is what I'm thinking maybe I'm going to do for attaching the strip on the front driver's side. So I'm going to start it just in front of that attachment point. Why? Because I can probably loop, if I pull this pin down, I can probably loop a zip tie around the cable to hold it right there. And then, you know, simply use the adhesive. And I thought I might actually kind of curve it back towards the center so that it ends up, you know, coming out somewhere over here. I'll loop that up just slightly. And then I'll run the rest of the cable that right now is hanging down. I'll pull that up tight and run that over there. And then from here, after this has been fit up here, I can tuck it up inside the plastic here and get it to wedge in there, ultimately, right? And then work on running this. However, I'm going to zip tie that, maybe a zip tie around here. I don't know what you're going to do about these lines, though. I mean, oh, that's right. They do have some of those adhesive pieces. Again, probably have to do that till we can get to where our next strip is going to be that we're going to run down the side of the truck. So from that standpoint, obviously I'm going to have to clean some of this plastic if I'm going to use the adhesive. But I think for the time being, that's about how I'm going to try to attach this one, and then attach the other passenger side one in a similar fashion. But I'm going to pull that line up a bit too, just so that I can get that into position. So I'll come back. Sorry for the camera work's a little bit difficult here underneath the truck, but we'll see it as it comes together. Okay, one of the additional things I wanted to show you that I did was I took the bolts, so like this bolt out of here. I'm now in the process of taking this bolt out. I'll take that one out and that one out, just because it allows me to flex this plastic back, and by flexing it back, I can feed this cable in up underneath and get it to wedge inside of there. So just wanted to show you that tip real quick. Okay, I've cleaned this plastic area all the way over here with some good degreaser cleaner, and then I'm going to wipe it down with one of these adhesive promoters just to clean that plastic really good before sticking the strip down. Didn't want to forget to mention that I did take the little plastic plug out here, just pull it out with a little wedge tool. And I am going to feed a strap here, a little zip tie around this so that I can have that held tightly here just to make sure it doesn't come away. And I should still be able to put that plug back in. Okay, so after cleaning with the degreaser and wiping down with the adhesive promoter and then peeling the red tape off the back of that to reveal the 3M double sticky tape stuff, I have brought it out from here in the center, and then because it's so long, I just basically curved it to where it's coming over to this edge, and now I'm going to zip tie here, and then I will continue to start feeding this line around the back. You can see I've already kind of loosely placed the side line and all the way down to the back of the truck there where it's hanging down, just because I wanted to kind of get a feel for that. So I'm going to zip tie this up, and then we'll start working on feeding the cord down along the side of the truck, through the wheel well, etc. Now, I know some people might want to take this up over the suspension, up over behind the inner liner and the fender liner, because that's the way that I saw the Model Y one being done. But these fender liners are so much bigger. I don't know that you've got a good amount of line to do that. So I'm going to try the sticking closer to the underbody approach. Besides, with this aluminum panel, I can get stuff on the inside of that aluminum panel. I don't think I'll have to take out any of these screws, but if I do, just to bring it down a little bit to wedge something, I can do that. So we'll get back to some of those plastic pieces in a moment, but just wanted to show you that I was finishing up this piece here and what this looked like. Okay, just to wrap up this piece here, I did want to show that I was able to, extend out that plug, push it all the way in the hole, then push the center pin in, and it snaps into place. If you don't hear it snap into place, then it's not firmly in there. So just this little bit of extra zip tie did not prevent that from happening. Now I'll get my scissors out and cut that off, but now we are zip tied right here. And so then we can continue to take and feed over through here, underneath here. I could pop that pin out just to get it up behind here. I think I will do that. That way I can move this, the wiring up higher than that pin. So I'm going to pop that out, put the wire up behind and come back, and then we will continue to feed along. Of course, we want to go around our lower control arm and head towards the back of the truck. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so as we're running the line up here, inside of here, you'll notice that right now I just have it kind of looped in here. I'm going to undo that screw so I can put this line straight over here. I don't know if I'll have to undo this one as well. I think just this one will probably be enough. And then bring it over all the way to this edge so that I'm bringing it out. Here, and then we'll come up along this edge. And then I have this sort of area here where I can tuck it underneath my brackets for my crossbars, which is nice, and then bring it up over here and take it all the way down against that edge. So, all right, stay tuned for a minute. We're going to disconnect those. Okay, I did take those two bolts out, ran the line behind them so that I could feed the line out. Now you see again, now I have these crossbar supports. If you do, or not crossbars, but they're the supports for the side rails, the step-up rails, whatever you want to call them, that you may not have, in which case you would just have a place where these bolts go in, which you could conceivably use for putting a little bolt in and putting a zip tie on it and tying the line off. That might be one approach to doing it. Or you might just wish to stick it to the bottom. Now, I chose to use kind of the angle here so that the lights don't face directly down, but face kind of inward and down. That way it's not directing outwards away from the truck, which I think I might find obnoxious. I guess we're going to find this all out at night, aren't we? And then, of course, I just continued to run it all the way down here until we get to now this point where I'm going to have to feed that line over, probably take one of those bolts out just to tuck that in. We'll give that a try here in a second and continue to feed it on towards the rear and finish up on the rear, and we would have one side done. All right, I'm going to show you a little tip here. So I have this extra cable that I need to run to the back, and I had this spot I thought, oh, I'll just pull this bolt out, which you can absolutely take it out, but you can also disconnect this fitting from the other end here. And then what I did was I simply fed it through here and brought it out here, and then I will just simply reattach it. So I didn't have to take this bolt out, but again, if you want to, that's fine. I just saved myself a little bit of time by disconnecting the line and feeding it through. Okay, so I did actually take out these plastic clips here just to be able to tuck the wire up in behind, get it to run all the way up inside of here. Along this edge, it's up inside of here, stays inside of this curved area nicely. Around here, underneath, here we go, around that control arm. Again, we remember we don't want to be in the way of the control arm. And now at this point where it comes out, you really have a couple of different things that you can do here. Let me shoot that a little bit wider angle. So with this wire coming out, I could try to bring it over here to the center, okay? But that would mean I'm going to have to pull this bolt out, eventually that bolt out. And this is really a tight fit here. I don't see a good gap, and that might be pinching this wire, but I thought if I could easily bring it to the center, then I could have it just diagonally run, you know, out this direction towards the edge if I did it from the center. But then I looked at it slightly differently. I said, hey, I've got some drain holes here, and I can get to the other side of those. So I thought, well, what if I just run this line from here out here? I'll put a couple zip ties. I'll put a couple zip ties on that, and then I'll run it from that corner up towards the center here. And I think I like that idea a little bit better. So that's what I'm going to try to do. But I think you've got a choice here. Whichever way you deem that you might want to do this, you could back here, but I'm going to do it the way I'm going to do it and show you what that looks like. Okay, so here we are with the back piece installed. You can see I put some zip ties in there, which I'll need to cut off the ends on. I even zip tied over here. Oops, evidently didn't get that on quite right. I'll have to get it over here. And that metal piece isn't very tall. I guess I could zip tie from here over to that hole. If I take that bolt out, I might end up doing that. And this isn't absolutely necessary, one right there, but I just thought, wouldn't hurt to have an extra zip tie. So anyway, I'll get that cleaned up, but this is all the way here. So we should be fastened all the way down now on the driver's side, and maybe I'll see if I can hook into the power and light it up. I don't know if it'll light up with just, well, I could leave the other one laying on the floor, I guess, and just see if I can light up both of those. I'll probably give that a shot next. Okay, I've peeled back the wiring here and just wanted to let you know the red with blue stripe is the positive wire that will hook into the red one here on the little converter, and the brown with blue stripe is the ground that will hook into the black wire here on the little converter. So I just need to peel these wires back, put the little end caps on them. By the way, the green wire is for LAN connectivity, not going to be used in this instance. Well, look at that. I have that one laying on the ground because I have it patched into here. Again, I've got to figure out what I do with that app on my phone. I've got those two tapped into the positive and negative. And then let's go underneath the truck and see what we got here. Looks like we've got all of those lighting up. Some sort of rainbow color pattern at the moment. But this does all seem to be working. So now obviously I've got to get the second one put in and get everything buttoned up. But this initial test looks like it's working good. Okay, one other quick item after hooking this up and turning it on. And I let these things probably run for, I don't know, a couple of hours while I was in a meeting, just to make sure nothing's getting hot, melting, falling off, any of that. All seems good. I did, for curiosity's sake, unplug this from the two connections that come off of here. So I've got one still wired into the truck. The other one I disconnected And of course, these went out because I disconnected it. But it is good to know that these do operate independently. So the other strand is on while this strand is not. So if you do at some point have an issue with one strand versus another, it's not like they all go out. If one strand is disconnected, they each operate independently. Now, I did load up the software. You can see, I've changed the color to green. I played with it some in the software, tried a couple different things. Looked like there was a lot of options, including being able to do sound. So we'll get into more of that later. But now what I need to do is feed things down through here and hang all of the items on the passenger side of the truck and then start buttoning everything up. So I'm going to crawl into the truck and get started on that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have all of the light strands installed and functional. So here you're seeing from kind of underneath the front bumper. Again, we are in extract mode, hence the truck being up so high. Let me pause here a second and go back and show you from the rear of the truck. Okay, and this is from the rear of the truck. So you'll see, obviously, when you're up here, you won't see any of that at all. But when you come underneath, there's the two strands for the rear and the ones on the side. If you look hard, maybe the ones all the way up front. So I am going to lower the truck down now so that I can work a little bit easier in the front by getting everything buttoned up front. So I'll show you that here momentarily. All right, here we are inside the truck, just to show you that we are in extract mode. I don't want to be in extract mode anymore. Also, to show with outlets and mods, I do have the power feed up front turned on. If I turn that off, then those green lights will go out. I don't know if I can show you. Well, there's nothing on the floor at the moment because those lights are out. And of course, I can turn them back on. So up front, well, I guess let's duck outside and see. Do we see the green? Yes, we see the green. Okay, so that does show you that this power feed is controlling those lights. Now, I guess for the standpoint of what I want to do here, I want to get myself back on entry ride height. So we'll let ourselves lower down so I can do a little more work buttoning up the frunk. But so far so good. Everything's working. Things are turning on and off as I would imagine. Again, you can leave that power feed on and then you can use the application on your phone to control the lights, turning them on and off with the app on the phone, or changing their color or their cycle or a number of different things. And I'll try to see if I can't demonstrate some of that by capturing a few things on the phone later. So I think we're down. Let's get out and work in the frunk. Okay, so in the kit were a couple of these pads. So you can see that's got little things I peel back to expose the heat adhesive on either one. One of those will go on to the power converter here. We'll probably stick it just right down in the metal below it. And likewise, I'll put one on the back here and stick that down. So I'm gonna have to set my phone down to do that. Also, I'm gonna clean up the wiring a little bit too, and get that positioned for us to be able to put the frunk insert back in. So stay tuned. Okay, so now I've put the insert back in. I haven't bolted it all down yet or put the trim pieces on or any other things, but just wanted to show you that, yes, in fact, it is working. I am seeing the glow coming from, underneath. Same thing for backs and the sides. Obviously, we'll see that better at night, but I did get everything buttoned up. I got those little pads, Velcro pieces down in there, got the wiring all tied up and everything nice and neat. Set the cover back on. It's good. Nothing's pinching. I checked that. Now it's just a matter of tightening all this back up, and we'll be back for a few final thoughts and then see if we can't look at the software. Okay, so here we are at nighttime with the LED lights set at 50% brightness on green. So I don't have them, blaring, super bright or anything, but they're certainly enough to cast a nice glow on the ground, which you can even see there against the headlights. And then obviously here on the underside, on the sides, and then as we come around to the back of the truck, oh, there, the headlights just shut off, so we'll get a little bit more of this as well. Plenty of green underneath here. And again, you can change colors, you can cycle colors and do various different patterns, if you will. That's all available with the software on this kit, which we're going to run through here later as soon as I get that software loaded up and capture some screen images from that. So there's the kind of the front look underneath the truck. So there you go. Okay, so I've opened up the LED app here, and to show you some of the things that it does, the first default screen is this RGB here in the lower left. So right now I have the truck on green. I could shift to blue and the lights underneath the truck would be blue. I could shift to red, etc. I can store different colors if I choose a color wheel and say, oh, I really want something about right here, and I'd like to make that color be that particular color. Sorry, I needed to do that, and then choose whatever color it was. Maybe it's about right there, and then I confirm, and then you'll see that's kind of a quick button. You can create that to store some additional colors, similar to, I guess, how some other applications work. I'm going to go back to my green for a moment. Then if I want to go into some of the animations, I could come here and select some of the animations. So for example, this is a backward trailing red. This is a forward trailing green. Here we have a backward trailing green, and then some blue. So you get the idea that and there's a ton of these. You can change the speed, you can change the brightness, crank that way up, be super bright. I usually leave things at about 50% brightness, seems to work pretty well. Then the next item is if you're going to implement, this is very similar to like a Govee lighting system for home. If you want to implement a specific trail of lights in particular colors, you can define each one of those. So maybe I want to define, that's a yellow. So then I'll have this stream be going red, green, blue, yellow, cyan, magenta, I guess white, back to yellow. And you can define what that custom color stream looks like. So maybe you want red, white, blue, and have a patriotic sort of theme. You can set that up, and then you can do a number of different animation types where it's going forward or backward. Maybe it's breathing, where it's kind of like these little color increments, etc., that it rotates through. So just a bunch of things you can play with here. I can't possibly show them all to you, and nor do I necessarily know what exactly all of them do. But that's another ability it has. And then here I can go into the ability to use my voice. So as I'm talking, then I would expect lights to light up. I could then, instead of going to my voice, I could then also go to music, and I could load up a particular song that I want. Let me scroll down, find something here. I don't know, here's a Hailstorm song. I'll confirm that, and then as it plays the song on my phone, the lights will go in conjunction with the music. I don't know, since I'm recording through the microphone, whether or not you can hear the music playing right now as well, but the lights are definitely going with the music. Now the interesting thing is that if I put it on reacting to outdoor sounds as opposed to record on my phone, I could ostensibly do a Tesla light show and have the lights underneath the truck correspond to that Tesla light show. So that's something that I'd maybe give it a shot here. So I'll pause that, and I'm going to pause this recording for a moment just to see if, because I'm going to have to set up a light show and then see if that's something I can get the underbody lights to react to the Tesla light show. So yeah, this definitely works. I have my Halo light show going, and then depending on what the light show is doing, the lights underneath the car can react. When I tell it to go into voice mode, and then I can choose some of the different modes it has, and they will react along with the audio coming from the embedded Tesla light show. Just going to see if I can find one that was all green as opposed to multicolor. There's so many of these different choices. Oh, that was really kind of cool that it was rotating through there. So I don't know if any of this is showing up in terms of what I'm recording off my screen, but you can probably see on the screen I'm rotating between a bunch of different ones to try to find one that, I don't know, matches the motif of my truck for this show. There's definitely some very interesting patterns going on. Oh, that's interesting. The color changes are going along with kind of the drumming in the song. And again, I'm sure that's just based on emphasis and volume in the song itself. But anyway, just to give you yet another option of what this software is able to do. I'm sure there's much more that the software is able to do, but so far I really like what I'm seeing here in terms of the variety of things that it is capable of doing. So with that, I'm going to say this is Tesla Ken for the HaloCybertruck.com website, reviewing this underbody lighting system from Hansshow. Would like to thank our sponsor for sending us this item. You can order this directly from their website using our discount code to get yourself an additional discount off of this item or anything else in your order. Last but not least, please do subscribe to our website, to our article blog on the website, as well as our YouTube channel. That helps us create more informational videos like this one. So again, I'm Tesla Ken for the HaloCybertruck.com website. Stay tuned and enjoy the Halo theme.